Hi everyone, I'm Jason Khalipa and welcome back to the AMRAP Mentality Podcast, a show we interview interesting people about how they make the most out of every single minute. On today's episode is Lauren Fisher. Now, if you've been around the sport of CrossFit for a while, you've definitely heard this name. She's competed as an individual at a very young age and transitioned in a team as of recently. She's done so many amazing things in competition, but what I was really blown away by was her entrepreneurial spirit, her desire to support women with this grown strong movement, and also her background about how she grew up with 3 older brothers and how her dad pushed her to do, men's fitness workouts. I loved it. We dive into nutrition, we dive into mindset, we dive into where she's going, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Before we get into it, just want to let you know, for the first time ever, we've created a partnership with ButcherBox. Now, I've been getting ButcherBox for a while. Their products are sent to me on a monthly basis. It's grass-fed beef, pork, chicken, you name it, fish, and is sent to my house, and my wife does a great job helping me cook it. If you want to go ahead and check out their products, they're offering all listeners of the AMRAP Mentality Podcast a really special offer. Make sure to go to butcherbox.com/AMRAP and see what they have in store for you. Now, let's get right into the episode. Okay. So Lauren Fisher, we are here in San Diego. We're here with Rasmus as well. And I'm really excited to talk to you. You've had such an interesting background in the sport of CrossFit, developing a brand, becoming an entrepreneur, graduating from college, moving to Dubai. There's just so much to dive into. And I guess where I'd like to start with is for people who are listening who have only seen Lauren Fisher competing at regionals, competing at the games, perhaps being on a team, being inspired by your grown strong movement and what you've done with Nike. How did you get first introduced to the sport of CrossFit?
So I was 13 years old, about 11 years ago. My brother Garrett and my brother Ryan, they got into CrossFit and they went to a training session one day, completely got hooked. Came home and were like, Lauren, you need to try out this workout. And I was like, what is it? And they're like, you need to come. It takes only 1 hour and you're going to come and we're training with this guy, Vince Carter. And at the time I was playing basketball. I wanted to go on to play in college and go on to the WNBA. And I was like, Vince Carter, the basketball player? And they're like, yeah, Vince Carter, the basketball player. Showed up. It wasn't Vince Carter, the basketball player. Did my first workout and immediately I was hooked. And so just started when I was 13 and then did it in my off season. People think I was training 2 to 3 times a day like how I am now, but actually I was doing basketball. I played volleyball in high school. I did tennis. So in my off season, I just used CrossFit as a strength and conditioning program. And then by my junior year of high school, I was like, I really like this. I was getting burnt out with basketball. Didn't think I wanted to play basketball anymore. And I ended up I went to a CrossFit competition instead of one of these basketball games that was going to be aired on ESPN. My coach was like, what are you doing, Lauren? You're going to miss this game of the year. College scouts are coming. It's going to be aired on ESPN. And I was like, I have this competition that I want to go to. And they were like, well, what is CrossFit going to do for you? It's not going to do anything for you. Not putting anything bad on my coach. Went to this CrossFit competition and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And then I ended up sitting out for the next 2 weeks for basketball. And I'm like, I'm so burnt out. I just want to do CrossFit. And then in 2012, I competed at the NorCal Regionals against all these top names like Jenny LeBras, Miranda Oldroyd, Cheryl Bross, all these big namers back then. And I was just this 18-year-old girl. And I was completely just starstruck by all of them. And then moved to San Diego and just everything kind of took off.
Yeah, I remember that. So obviously your brother and I have been friends for a long time, and you got introduced to CrossFit at such a young age. Looking back on it, I guess my first question I want to ask is, getting into CrossFit at 13, would you recommend somebody who's listening who maybe has kids that age, or maybe you do have a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, do you think that was too early to get in as much as you were in competitively? Because it seemed like you were into it as a strength conditioning program for a while. Then you started competing later on when you were 17, 18. Yeah. Do you wish you had started competing earlier, or do you think it was really good you were playing group sports and then got into, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's good. I would recommend anyone that's 13 or 14 years old, keep playing sports. You develop that athleticism and stuff that carries over so well into CrossFit. Do track and field, play volleyball, play basketball. And not only that, but you also socialize with other people. And I feel that plays a huge role in who you grow up to be. And so I would not trade competing in CrossFit earlier for playing sports. I think doing it hand in hand, playing sports and doing CrossFit, like I think benefited me so well. And so I now with CrossFit too, a lot of these young athletes, they think like, hey, I see Lauren Fisher or I see Camille training like 2 to 3 times a day. I need to be homeschooled. Like I need to train all the time. But no, like you don't need to be training. Your body's still developing and you're still maturing. Like train maybe 1 time a day and like 1 to 2 hours, and like you're going to develop like that fitness over time. Like it takes time. Like you're not going to hit these numbers that these games athletes are hitting. Like you're still young, you're still growing up. So I definitely would recommend like someone to be playing sports and doing CrossFit.
Absolutely. And so you get into CrossFit, you start competing. How'd your first event go? Or regionals,
first event. So competed at the NorCal regionals. So leading up to that, it was a dumbbell snatch event with 70-pound dumbbell.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I could not snatch that, and I just like literally just kept flinging out of my hands because at the time I didn't really know what the hook grip was. And my coach Gabe Subry, Vince, they were like, and Zach Hyatt, they were like, Lauren, you need a hook grip, and I'm like, I am hook gripping, and later found out that I was doing it the wrong way, and then I was able to snatch a 70-pound dumbbell. And then even the 135-pound hang cleans, like that year in 2012, like the weights were really heavy for girls. I think the max snatch, it's crazy to think like the first weight was 105 pounds for the snatch.
Yeah.
Going into that, I was really nervous. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to snatch the opening weight. Ended up like hitting 115-pound snatch.
Yeah.
And now I can snatch like 185.
Isn't that funny how so you've seen yourself obviously progress. So your first year, what place did you end up taking?
12th place.
12th place. And so you went from not being able to lift this dumbbell to, I imagine you lifted it,
yeah.
Right? And then you thought you couldn't even hit this opening weight. Now all of a sudden you hit the 115, et cetera. But here you are years later and you're doing 185. I mean, I can't imagine, where do you think this is going to go 5 years from now?
I think girls and guys, like they just keep surpassing the limits of like what is possible. Like you see now the teenage kids, we have like one girl at our gym, she's 17 years old. She's lifting as much as us girls. Like she's clean and jerking 225, snatching like 175. And I'm like, geez, you're 17 years old. Like I can't imagine back then when I was like struggling to clean and jerk 155, couldn't knock out any ring muscle ups. And now everyone is just like able to do like limits of what your body like is possible, and it's crazy. So I just think now like we're just gonna see stuff that is like beyond like our wildest dreams. Like,
well, I think what they're doing is they're matching some physical fitness with connecting the body. Like they're getting taught better techniques. There's more information out there, which really helps. Because I remember when I first got into CrossFit, there wasn't as much information as there is today. But so you took 12th, obviously probably not. Maybe. Did that hit your expectation, or was that not really?
That was beyond my expectations. Like going in, I couldn't do ring muscle ups that well, and I've always been really hard on myself. I'm super competitive, grew up with 3 older brothers. Like my dad has like just ingrained in me this competitive mindset. So like I was obviously a little bit upset with my performance at the end of the weekend, but I think I did so well at 18, and then ended up moving to San Diego the following year to train with CJ Martin and Invictus crew, and just kind of my whole career took off. And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned is like you can't get anywhere alone. Like you need to surround yourself with a team of people who are going to help you be better. And I think that has like played a huge role in my life. Like I constantly just trained with girls who were lifting more weight than me, showing me how to do like muscle ups with proper technique, and just constantly like working that like the little stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you briefly mentioned this, but I'd like to dive into it. So you have 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm privileged to know all of them, and your dad is awesome. But you said that he instilled kind of like this work ethic. So growing up, what kind of environment did you grow up in? Because I know you and I know your brothers, so I can imagine what it was like.
I was a huge tomboy back then. Like you can imagine, I was like the girl with basketball shorts, baggy shirt, like slicked back ponytail, not like a single hair out of place. Went to all my brothers' baseball and basketball practices. Like literally, I was always with the boys. Like I never really played with the girls. Like I always just wanted to be one of the boys. Like I always wanted to be like the fastest in PE class. Like I wanted to run the fastest mile. Like my dad and I, we actually used to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups back in the day.
Like you and him would
every
compete
single day we would do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. I was like,
No.
I was 8 or 10 years old, and we would do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups every single day. And then my dad also got the Men's Health magazine, so we would do the Men's Health workouts, and we had like a pull-up bar and stuff. And I was like 10 years old doing these workouts.
Just you and your dad, or your brothers do it?
My dad and I. And then I actually, little fun fact, when I was 10 years old, then I got a personal trainer. Went with my brothers to, it was a UOP college.
Yeah.
I got a personal trainer there. And I went and we did parachute training, ladder training.
At age 10?
Age 10. So just kind of been I always had this dream that I wanted to be a WNBA basketball player, and I wanted to put in the work ethic. And my dad was like, nothing is ever going to be handed to you. Nothing is ever going to come easy. You need to work hard for it. So I would wake up in elementary school, wake up early, do my basketball dribbling drills, go to school, come home. My dad will pass me basketballs for 30 minutes, an hour. I would go to basketball practice then as well, come home, do my homework. I always had a routine, and it still is kind of the same way now. I always have this routine because I want to be the best possible athlete, or in general person in life as well. So,
I mean, growing up that way, I imagine obviously pays huge rewards later on because you learn this work ethic. Mm-hmm. And so, kind of your brothers and your dad just kind of taught by example, I imagine. It was just the way it was.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you're going into regionals. You have this mindset, this kind of grit, this hard work that you've been, putting in a decade of experience with. When did you qualify for the CrossFit Games the first time?
So 2013, I went team that year. I wasn't ready and experienced enough to go individually to games. And I don't think I would have qualified if I would have went individually at regionals. So I wanted to use that year as an experience, train with 5 people who helped shape me into the athlete I am today. And I learned a lot from them. And so then 2014, I qualified 3rd place position when it was only top 3 could go to games, and then ended up taking 9th place at the CrossFit Games when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, so I remember that year very, very well. You crushed it. So talk to me through a little bit. What's the difference dynamic-wise between being on a team and going individual? What would you say are the pros and the cons? What did you learn from both experiences? Because I imagine they're both equally as rewarding, just a little bit different.
I think it's a lot of fun to go team because, now it's only 4 people, but you're just training, you have these people who are depending on you, and I feel like you're all training together towards one goal, and it's just so much fun because you're training with your friends every single day. Compared to when you're individual, you're by yourself, you're focused on this one goal, but there's not really anyone else to depend on, it's only you. But you have your training partners in the gym every single day, but it's just different. You're constantly have this... You still have this need with a team, you need to put in the work. Maybe you missed a training session and you have to go in and do an extra session. When you're individual, same thing with team though, but it's just different because the workouts are different. It's a lot of synchronized work. It's just and shorter intervals too. With individual, we're constantly doing longer workouts. So it's just different the way we're training for a team versus individual. And I think the pros for team is that you get to go in competition and you have fun with your team. Right now with my team, we laugh the whole weekend, but we're also having fun and trying to win. So,
right, of course.
But with individual, you're just by yourself in your corner, it's serious, headphones on, not really talking to anyone. But it's also too, it is very rewarding to know after how much work you put in, the end result paid off for yourself. But now with team, it's kind of you don't want to let your team down.
Right.
So there's actually more pressure, I think, with team. Sometimes the synchronized work is actually a lot harder than you think it is. And then the worm stuff,
because you don't want to be the weak link.
Yeah, you don't want to be the weak link.
Yeah.
So it's different, pros and cons. I love both, but I think team is more fun just because you have your group of friends you're training with and you're all going towards one goal together. So
you compete as an individual 4 times, right?
4 times, and then team twice, and then this will be my 3rd year as team.
Right, and which you guys already qualified for, so congratulations, which is coming up soon. But looking at individual, 4-time individual, we'll start there. What event kind of pokes out at you as being an event where you you went in there with the game plan, you execute on the game plan, you performed to your expectation. Like, what event speaks to you as like putting the bulk of your work you've been putting in for your entire life, getting trained from doing men's health magazines with your dad to where you are, like let's just say a couple of years ago, competing as an individual. Which event stands out to you as like the culmination of that hard work?
That's hard. Man, I can't even remember the events from this past year. I feel like 2014 is like the year that I constantly like remember and look back to. But
as an individual,
was probably the 333 event.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the most grueling, just like the heat and Carson was just blasting on you. And so it was 300 double unders. It was 3 mile run and or started with the 3 kilometer row, then the double unders, then run. I think that event just kind of, I don't think I placed well in that event, but more just I mentally stuck with my own game plan and not worried about anyone else. Like just, I was able to row faster than I thought I would. And then I ended up doing my double unders in 3 sets, just kind of sticking my own game plan. I don't really think there's a single event though that is like a culmination of all my hard work.
No, yeah, just out of curiosity.
I feel like it's every single year, it's just, it gets harder and harder. And I think going from 2014 to now, like the competition just gets like everyone is like training so much, like focusing on their nutrition and diet, like sleep, everything. So just, I think the fact that I'm still able to qualify for the CrossFit Games after like how much harder it's getting, like I think that is probably a result of all my hard work.
So talking about 333s, and I came off the rower really well, and then I got passed up a little bit on the run on that event. But anyways, for you, when you're looking at that event, you stuck to your game plan, you went after it. What types of things, like from a mental perspective, switching gears to like this perspective of when you're getting ready for an event, when you're going into it, whether it's, and then how do you take that into, you've became an entrepreneur, you have, businesses. Have you seen it carry over from competition and the work ethic that you developed with your dad into other areas of your life? And then when you are competing, what type of mantras, what type of things are you utilizing for an event like 333s?
I think one of the biggest things is like, I feel like CrossFit is almost 80% mental, 20% physical. Like I see a lot of athletes with so much physical capability, but as soon as like you're in that competition atmosphere and the pressure is on, like they just can't perform because they like get nervous or just like it's too much pressure. And so I feel like that carries over to life in general because it's not easy being an entrepreneur. Like it's constantly, you have to put in work every single day and you have to hit deadlines and you have to like answer to people. Like I think it just carries over to like all aspects of life. Like the competition carries over to in general, like work. So can't even remember your question now.
But going back to like your mindset with like you're on the 333s, right?
Yeah.
You're on these really tough events. What's something that Lauren Fisher's thinking?
So I focus on like one movement at a time. I think it's one of the biggest things. A lot of people ask me like, Lauren, how do you attack a workout? Like, do you look at the whole workout as bigger picture or do you look at like, how do you attack a workout? And I think one of the easiest ways is to focus on one movement at a time. So like when I'm going into that, like I'm just thinking during the row, okay, I want to hold a 2:05 pace this whole time and just kind of getting out of my head and just kind of focusing on the movement of rowing. And I'm not really thinking, like sometimes you get these negative thoughts in your head, like, wow, this is hard, this sucks, like I can slow down, like it doesn't really matter, but then you pull yourself together and you're like, no, this is easy. I think one of the biggest things I always tell myself is like, this is easy, like this feels good, like I have like a lot of oxygen, like I feel great, and it's just kind of focusing on all these positive thoughts and then moving on to the double unders, like this is my jam, I love double unders, okay, let's do 3 sets of 100 broken, just like, and then you just find one spot and you stare at it and just do each set of 100 double unders are broken. Then for the run, it's just like, just go and you're focusing on passing one girl at a time and just constantly trying to pass them. And so just kind of playing a little game with yourself rather than focusing on like how you're feeling and how you're hurting.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And so, kind of shifting gears a little bit. So you're going to the games, you're competing on teams, and you graduate from San Diego State. Yeah. So you graduate from San Diego State, and there's an opportunity to go to Dubai. But before we even talk about Dubai, while you're in school, so let's not forget, you're competing at the CrossFit Games. You're also going to school full time, and you're developing this brand, this Grown Strong brand, and this Lauren Fisher brand. So what types of things are you doing to separate out your day to optimize school, training, and then growing this brand. What were a
Yeah.
couple years ago, what did that flow look like?
So I always planned like my training schedule around my school schedule. Like school back then was like my priority. I wanted to graduate with a business marketing degree. So I always planned my training around my school schedule. So usually I probably have class from like 8 to 10 or so. And then I would go straight to the gym from like 10 to 12. And then I would go back to school from like 1 to 3 and then go back to the gym and train. And then that off time spent studying, and then also too like figuring out ways how I can grow my brand. Like back then, I just started Grown Strong, and I was like, I didn't want to create like a Lauren Fisher brand. I wanted to create something that like represents women as a whole. And I feel like my journey growing up has never really been the easiest. Like my brothers always picked on me, pushed, like just made me into the person I am today. So I grew up strong. And so that's where Grown Strong came from. And I feel like so many women are struggling with some sort of obstacle or something in their life. It doesn't necessarily have to be inside the gym. Like it can be in any aspect of life. And so that's where Grown Strong came from. And that was 5 years ago. And I decided to come out with like a Grown Strong Lauren Fisher shirt for regionals.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, with the help of Invictus, they helped me a lot with it, get started with Grown Strong. I was able to sell these t-shirts. And then about like 3 years ago, then I also got help from someone else. And then now it's full time. So it's been a constant building process. But basically it's like school, train, trying to figure out how to grow my brand on social media. So literally I have no free time. Yeah.
Well, you don't seem like someone who wants that much free time. You seem dedicated to what you want to do. And so speaking about that, you've been building a brand. You're a Nike sponsored athlete. I mean, I've seen you on commercials. I want to say at the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Was that correct?
It was like a snow day commercial with Nike.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, see that. I see you on billboards at different, sporting goods stores. I'm like, hell yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah.
And so, you have these different brands that are supporting you.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you pick what brands you want to work with? Like,
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of different brands approach you.
Yeah.
And as you're a student, obviously you need to make money to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you've graduated, you've chosen to pursue CrossFit as a full-time career at this
Yeah.
point, which a lot of the money comes from sponsors. So how do you pick those ones?
Well, I want to pick brands that like I fully believe in like what they're offering. Like it's almost like a second family to me. Like I love what they're offering, and it like with Nike, like I wear Nike all the time. Like why not partner with Nike? Like
Right.
It's literally like the pinnacle of all sponsorships, and like it's literally like a dream come true when like they ask to sponsor me. And so right now I have 5 or 6 sponsors that like fully support and believe in me, and I don't want to go like any further and get more sponsors, because then it just becomes watered down, and I don't necessarily like, I want to fully like have these sponsors who support my journey and fully back me. And so I pick people that I like fully believe in the product and what they're offering, and like I use it every single day. Like I sleep on my Performance Sleep mattress every single day, and like people constantly ask me like, all right, is this just an ad? Like, do you actually use the bed? I'm like, yeah, I use the bed. Like literally my whole family has a Performance Sleep mattress.
Right. So you want to be authentic
Yeah,
to it.
I want to be authentic and organic. Like I'm never going to sell something to my audience that I don't believe in. And so everything is like the stuff I use. And so why not be supported by them? Like I love eating lesser evil snacks. Like popcorn is one of my favorite snacks to eat. And when they approached me, I'm like, this is great popcorn. Like I want to be sponsored by them. So it's just something that I fully believe in.
Right. Well, I mean, talk about your audience. I mean, you've been able to develop a really large audience. I mean, specifically through social media. And so in the future, I know we were talking a little bit earlier, you currently have a fitness program, but you're looking to roll out a new fitness program that's really based around this Grown Strong concept, which you articulated really well earlier. And I think it aligns so well with who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Having these brothers, having this environment. I can't think of a better person to have this Grown Strong mentality. So moving forward with your audience that's so large, I assume you want to provide them these tools to help them get to where they want to get to. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like for you from a business perspective? What are you looking to roll out?
Well, I think just like with my audience is so large, but like I want to, like you said, like I want to give them the tools to help excel in life. And I feel like with Grown Strong, like there's a brand, there's a story, and I like want to share this platform with women and kind of empower them to be strong and confident, not just inside the gym, but outside the gym in all aspects of life. So right now, with the help of my boyfriend Rasmus, we're getting ready to launch our own fitness program through Grown Strong, and it's going to be targeted towards women. Because nowadays, like, women are so intimidated. Like, I don't want to be bulky. Like, I don't want to lift weights. There's so much like stereotypes around like the bodybuilding and like all this like big butt skinny culture. Like, I feel like there's not really anything out there that is targeting these women who feel like, hey, I don't fit in. Like, I kind of outside the norm. Like, maybe I have too big of shoulders from swimming back in the day, or I don't know how to lift weights. Like, can you help me? And so right now we're getting ready to launch our fitness program through Grown Strong. And so that'll be targeted towards women. And we're really excited about it because now, like, we have the apparel. Like, the apparel has been here for I've been doing it for 5 years, but I feel like it's not something that can really help someone. Like, I want to give them something that they can do for themselves and really like live and breathe it. And that's something they can do at home or inside the gym.
Right. Absolutely. I can't wait to see it. I want to find out more about that towards the end, but so I want to talk about team for a quick second. You were on a team when there were 6 people. Now you're on a team when there's 4 people. How does the dynamic shift when you go from 6 people on a team to 4 people on a team? Because I imagine it's a big difference.
I love the 4 people. When they announced it, I'm like, man, this is going to be so much fun. Like, I feel like with the 6 people, it gets really hard to kind of get everyone in sync and kind of training together just because there's so many people like trying to match up a training session. And so when they announced 4 people, like, I think it's really fun because really you only have 2 males, 2 females, and you can't have any holes. Like, with 6 people, you kind of could cover up that weaker athlete. And so now it's like you all 4 need to be not only just great team athletes, but you need to be really good individual athletes. And so I think that makes it really fun, and it's going to be exciting for spectators, especially this year at Games now that they announced super teams, because actually 2 of the athletes we have on our team, we don't train together all the time. And so it'll just be really fun to see all of the athletes who are going like from Games individuals now to like teaming up for these super teams.
Yeah, especially with 4 people, they're faster events. And so I want to ask you, you had gone to the Games as an individual, and then one year you actually hurt your ankle.
Yeah.
And so you had to sit out, and then you ended up going on team. What did it feel like? I mean, when you got an injury like that, how many injuries have you had throughout your career?
So that one ankle injury was like the pinnacle of all my injuries, because then the following year I went and competed at Games, but literally 2 months before the 2016 Games, I couldn't run or push a sled. Like, my ankle hurt so bad. I knew something was wrong. And I went and got an MRI right after the 2016 Games and found out I had like a 2-centimeter tear in my peroneal brevis tendon. I had a bone that was chipped off. Like, my ankle was displaced completely. The doctor was like, I can't believe you competed at Games on this messed up ankle. And I was like, I was just taking 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen just to get through it. Like, I had no idea. And so then I got surgery like 2 months later. So then I was coming back from surgery. So that was like 5 months where I was not able to squat, run, go below parallel. And then I was able to qualify in the 2017 Games when I just started like fully training in January. So it was kind of 3 years there from 2015 to 2017 where this ankle injury was like hindering me from being the best I possibly could be.
Looking at the ankle injury and having it go on for that long, do you wish you had addressed it earlier? Do you think it went on too long? And then was there any pros that came out of that?
Well, I wish that if I would have, like, I sprained my ankle and then I didn't really do any rehab or anything about it. And I think that's how I ended up tearing the tendon. But I learned so much mentally just how to overcome an injury. And it also makes you feel really grateful for doing what you do because we train so much, and like there are days when you just feel like burnt out. You're like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, I'm just like, I don't really want to go to the gym today. Like, I'm so tired. But then as soon as you get hit with an injury and you're the person who's left in the corner and you see all your friends and training partners training, you're like, man, I wish I could do that again. So it makes you feel really grateful for like doing what you love and just feeling that like that you're healthy, like just being grateful to be healthy.
Yeah, it changes that perspective, right? Because you go from being able to train whenever you want to not being able to train at all.
Yeah.
So now when you're going back at it, I was talking to Amelia Boone about this, who's an ultra runner. And she was saying the same thing, that she's just grateful that she has the opportunity to go out and run. Yeah. And so for you, that must feel great.
That was the same thing. Like, I remember my first time running on the beach, I was like just so stoked that I could run. Like, it's like the best feeling in the world coming back from an injury.
So I definitely want to talk to you and Rasmus about Dubai and about what it's like to be on a team with a significant other, which I want to dive into in a later episode. But I want to talk about, what are the plans for this year's games? We know that there's going to be a lot of changes going on, and that's fine. Change is not a bad thing. It's just change. What are you guys doing to prepare, not knowing what are you guys doing to prepare for the games as a team? You already qualified.
We already qualified, but we're actually going to Shanghai, China, which is end of April. So we're really excited about that. And we just kind of wanted to use it as another competition, our last competition before games, to get more experience together as a team, because it's so different training together versus like competing together.
Right.
As soon as we got to Wadapalooza, like we had done some worm practice leading up to Wadapalooza, but as soon as we got there, it's just loud music. You can't hear anything. Like the judges no repping you, and it's completely different and kind of just threw us off because we weren't we were always used to like making calls on the spot, and now we can't even hear each other. So that's why we're going to Shanghai. Like we want to just be in that competition atmosphere and just get some more practice and experience together and some learning lessons to take away leading into the final preparations for games, which will be June and July. And then our two athletes, Reagan and Tommy, they're going to come out to train with us more often. So probably like every other weekend we'll be able to train together and just get ready for games. And I think our whole team, like we want to win the game. So that's our goal.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it should be. So you guys obviously seem motivated. You seem driven. And you guys have this practice and setup. So when you have a team, you have different people that bring strengths and weaknesses or together, kind of raise each other up. Do you guys do anything outside the training floor to like engage with each other? I mean, obviously one of the training partners is your boyfriend. So obviously you spend a lot of time with him. But the other two, and maybe alternates and your coach, do you guys do stuff outside of the gym to really like deep dive and connect? Do you have a coach that comes and kind of works with you to make sure there's no drama? I mean, how does that work? Because I imagine with four people that are highly competitive, there's got to be some drama.
We actually all get along really well. In Dubai, we all stayed together in like the same apartment. We all had our own bedrooms, but we all like made food for each other, like did everything together. Literally the day before we competed at Dubai, our teammates, Tommy and Ras, like they're just like a comedy together. Like they're so much fun. They wanted to do a Dubai, or we went to this water park, this like obstacle inflatable water park.
Yeah.
Literally the day before we're about to go run in the desert, our team was like playing on the water park. So we're constantly trying to have a good time. We have so much fun together. Like we'll go to the movies, but this is mainly around competition time because we're not able to be together all the time. And then like right now, Tommy and Reagan are in San Diego, and last night was Reagan's birthday. So like we had the whole group over and we made dinner together and we did hot tub and we had ice cream. And so just kind of doing like team stuff like that, but we all get along really well.
Cool. So like kind of wrapping this conversation up and kind of switching gears a little bit, you talked about ice cream. I'm obviously a fan. What does your diet look like these days?
So I do macro diet, eat a certain amount of protein, carbs, fat. I eat around 3,000 calories a day. Like I eat all the time. And it's so funny when I'm hanging out with my friends who don't do CrossFit because they're just like, Lauren, you're always eating. Like I'm always hungry, but like you need to fuel your body for performance. Are you balancing your macros? What are your percentages at? So I eat 165 protein, 400 carbs, and 65 fat. It's a
you're
lot
a little
of
higher
food.
on the carb.
Yeah, a lot of carbs.
And what kind of foods are you using for your carbs?
So in the morning, I usually do eggs and oatmeal. That's my go-to. But post-workout, I try to get around like 60 grams of carbs like in a protein shake. So I do 2 training sessions a day. So already there's like 120 grams of carbs. Yeah. Otherwise, I would just be eating all the time. And that it becomes a chore. It's like you're constantly cooking, then cleaning. And there's like so much that goes into it. So now I'm getting some food prep for me, which will hopefully make my life a little bit easier compared to always cooking and cleaning for myself.
And do you stay pretty focused on that throughout the duration of the week, or do you give yourself kind of like a night, a week, or a day to kind of like back off that and just kind of go eat a bunch of ice cream, or do you still try and balance it into those macros? I
mean, I do it anytime I want. Like if I'm going to go out with my friends or family and everyone's doing pizza, like then I'm going to eat pizza.
Of course,
It's probably like 3 times a week where I go off of it, but then like the majority of the day I'm sticking with that. And then say like if I'm missing some sort of macros at the end of the day and I'm going out to eat dinner, then I won't. Like I'll try to have some balance and just enjoy myself.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. And so moving forward, right, you we've talked a little about the games, talked about your diet. You have this entrepreneurial spirit, and it's really cool that you have Rasmus who's can support you on that journey, right? The two of you guys together, and you're rolling out your new online program, Grown Strong. What is your goal for the next couple of years? I mean, do you want to continue to compete on a team, and then is it primarily looking at online training, or is there other things you have in store that you're looking for?
I'm only 25 years old, so I feel like the opportunities are endless. Like, we just actually went on a fitness retreat in Mexico, Rasmus and I. So
Yeah,
we had
I heard
a group of 10 people with us, and we trained, we did fun activities in Mexico, we ate good food. So like Ras and I want to do those like 2 or 3 times a year. Like, it's just fun for us. We're able to go to new places, meet cool people, and just like hang out. So like doing the fitness retreats, and then obviously trying to make Grown Strong, like I want to build that into something really big. Like, I feel like there's so much like potential with it. So we're just doing a lot of back end stuff to really like launch and grow that really big. Like, I feel like it can branch into all areas of life. So like we have some really big plans with that. Right now, getting the fitness program started, and then it's just kind of finding the right people on your team. Like, we're learning, Rasmus and I, like, you can't do anything alone. Like, I know right now, like, we're constantly, like, we're dealing with the back end, like customer support, like putting out the apparel, shipping out orders. Like, there's so much that goes into it. And so we're constantly learning. But right now, I think I'm going to keep competing. Like, I love doing fitness, and as long as I love it, then like I'm going to keep doing it. And then maybe when there's a time when I'm like, man, I'm just tired of this, like I don't enjoy it, then that's when I'll retire. But 25 years old, I haven't even hit my peak in the sport. We'll see where it goes right now with everything, all the new changes, and then just continue to grow Grown Strong, and just try to fill out all these avenues of life.
Yeah, you have a lot of opportunities ahead of you. And so if someone's interested, and I'm obviously, you and I could talk later on about finding the right people, because that's something that it sounds like for you, on your team for fitness, that's really important. Mm-hmm. Well, why wouldn't it be that same way on the business side, right? I mean, finding the right people with qualified. Yeah. So if anyone wants more information, where should they go to get ready for this upcoming Grown Strong program? Specifically, if they're females and they're looking for a strength and conditioning program, where should they go?
Grownstrong.com.
Grownstrong.com.
Yeah, and then at Grown Strong for the Instagram and Facebook.
Grown Strong.
Grown Strong. GROWN Strong.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love that. And then where can they find you?
At Lauren Fisher on Instagram, and then at LT Fisher 12 on Twitter. And then I have Facebook as well, Lauren Fisher, and then lauren-fisher.com.
Perfect. Well, guys, I hope everybody has a great day. Lauren, thank you so much for taking your time, and talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. If you could please rate, review, and share with a friend, we would really appreciate it. And don't forget, if you're looking for a way to get grass-fed beef sent to your house, make sure you check out butcherbox.com/AMRAP for a special offer they have for listeners of the podcast. Have a great day.